guys, I hope you can hear me okay. It's absolutely chucking it down here today. The autumn's really kicked in here, much colder. I thought I'd just run through the various EEPROM programmers that we've had available to us over the last couple of years. Things seem to move on quite quickly in this area. We started off originally with the LLoyd Research PC2400. This is a British made programmer. It's very well made, but it's very expensive for what it is. This was originally designed and made for a large company in the UK who can remain nameless, Currys. So it was obviously issued to all of their service engineers, and you know, at the time this was probably the very best thing available. You can plug in your EEPROMs into here. Surface mount ones go into this little ZIF socket here, and you can plug in a lead into that top one. There's not much to it, just the USB connection, obviously the software on a disk, and that's about it. It came with a lead like this. That end just plugs into the programmer, and then you have this is a Pomona SOIC clip. The Pomona brand is much less, it's not as strong with spring tension. If you remember I can't remember the other make now. What's the other brand? No, it's gone out of my head. But the Sharp Bulletin, if you recall, said you'd have to cut a quarter of the spring off just to make the tension reasonable. So the Pomona is a far better choice of clip. So it came with that, and obviously a USB lead, and software was, you know, real easy to use, but it really only handles a very small range of devices, which was fine probably 3 years ago, but sadly things have moved on. We now need to program flash EEPROMs in a different size, and now again we're seeing TSOP devices that need to be programmed. I've spoken to Lawrence at LLoyd Research, and really it's just not viable or cost effective to upgrade this to to program the chips that we actually need to program these days. It's a shame, because, you know, I like to use British made products wherever possible, but we can't do it with this. It's as simple as that. It's a shame. LLoyd Research produced this, but it is not their main line of business. They do other things, and this is just a very small sideline. So whilst we still list it and sell it, we haven't sold any for ages, and honestly I don't think we will again. I think it was about £162 last time we bought one. We have one in the firmware Jig Co-op if members want to borrow it and use it, but you know, really sadly it's been superseded by another piece of equipment which I'll show you now. So that was that. Of course, years ago I started off using a 10 or 12 pound programmer from Bulgaria, which was just a small PCB, and you would run the MiniPro software with it, and for the 24 CO2 type devices it was absolutely fine. I'll just show you this whilst we're talking about the LLoyd Research adapter. This adapter here is an HDMI adapter, and I'll just grab the leads. What this allows you to do is to read and write to any of the HDMI EEPROMs in a set, and also the VGA EEPROM, and all it does is slots into the adapter here, and you lock it in place like that, and then if you're programming or reading an HDMI EEPROM, you would just plug in the HDMI cable into this end, and then into the back of the set you would plug the other end of the HDMI cable. You have to bear in mind that the set needs to be in standby for this to work, but that will allow you to read and write to the HDMI EEPROMs. What I've found in the past is, if let's say it had 3 HDMI ports, you'll probably find ports 1 and 3 have exactly the same EEPROM dump, and port 2 is probably a different EEPROM dump, but we try and routinely copy all of the HDMI EEPROMs from sets that come in now. Some of the guys, or like Zen on the forum, do this routinely. Unfortunately I don't see enough sets to add a great deal to the EEPROM library, but I get the copies when the sets come in. This adapter will also fit the newer programmer that I use. I'll show you that in a moment, but just remember that you must have the set in standby. This programmer does not provide power to the device in circuit in this particular instance, so the set must be in standby. We've also found on occasions you must put the set to HDMI 1 or 2 or 3 or the VGA channel, and then put it to standby to allow reading of the EEPROM. So something else to bear in mind. And occasionally, for some reason, reading will just fail. You can't do it. You can tell by the checksum that the software creates when it's read an EEPROM whether it's read correctly or not. I think a blank or an incorrect read is 3F00. Anything else as the checksum will be a correct read. But sometimes it's just not possible to read, especially it seems on the VGA port side of things. The VGA connector is just HDMI one end and VGA the other, so this end into the programmer, that end into the TV. So that's that. Now, I think probably 18 months ago we decided we had to move on to a different programmer. Now I import this and sell it in the UK. In fact, that's not strictly true. I don't import it. The supplier, maker of these is in Canada, and whenever we sell one they just ship it by a tracked method straight to the customer. So it means pretty much that I can sell it to anywhere in the world and not have to have it shipped into the UK first. Now the reason we had to upgrade to this one is because probably 18 months, 2 years ago, we started getting the CV109 chassis in that was stuck in standby, and probably without fail everyone needed a new flash EEPROM and dump to be installed. Now the old equipment couldn't handle that, and we had to get a special socket for that smaller chip, and this is what we ended up with. So the chip itself is a W25X32. This programmer's software can handle it without any problem. I sell it as the programmer with this adapter as well. That is your standard surface mount SOIC EEPROM size, like the Samsungs, that sort of thing. Sorry, I'm showing you the wrong one. That is the standard size, like the Samsung EEPROMs. It just plugs in. Whether this is in focus or not, can't quite tell. And then this is for the slightly different size flash EEPROMs, the W25X32 and similar. So the kit that I sell is this, the 2 adapters, and also it comes with the Pomona SOIC clip and extension cables. These just plug in. There's the adapter here, and then you can clip the lead on. Oh, in fact, this is the stronger tension 3M. I couldn't remember the name earlier. This is the 3M clip, and it's really far too stiff. And as I say, the shop recommended just taking a quarter turn off this spring to help it go over the chip, but it's ridiculous. We don't sell the kit with this one. We just use the Pomona clip, which I think is a little bit more expensive, but this is really hopeless. I think I've got it here because this was came with the first program I actually ordered, and I didn't realise at the time that it came with the 3M clip and not the Pomona one. So it comes with that, the 2 adapters, and the software. Again, straightforward USB connection. You can power this with external power if you would prefer. If your USB connection has other items on it, it might not have enough power to run this correctly. So you can power this one with an external power supply. You couldn't do that on the PC2400. It used very little power, but you couldn't do that anyway. So that's that. The adapters just pop in. They are numbered, so pin 1 is shown somewhere on the adapter, and you will just slot that in whichever way it needs to be, and then just lock it in place and pop the chip in there. The good thing is the adapter, HDMI EEPROM adapter, will also fit. You can just pop it in and lock it in place, so you can use that on this as well. Again, this does need to be, if you're going to use this adapter, you must have the set in standby. Whilst the GQ-4X does provide in-circuit power, the connections are not on the HDMI adapter to allow that power to pass to the set. So if you're using the HDMI adapter, you must have the set in standby. So important to remember that. So yeah, that's worked pretty well for us for a year and a half or so, until just recently. And as usual, it's Zen who's come across the problem first. He has found some TSOP flash EEPROMs, whatever you want to call them, that are faulty, and of course this can't program them. We have found a programmer from China that is about, I think it's about £40, and the adapters are about £40 or so as well. And I'll show you one of the adapters. I rushed buying this from eBay, and I've bought completely the wrong thing. I thought this was a TSOP 48 adapter to a 40-pin dual in line, and of course it isn't. This is a 48-pin adapter, and it won't go in there. It's entirely the wrong thing, but it was only £15, which is incredibly cheap. All that is you pop the TSOP inside. You can see the pins coming out on the side there, so I let go and push that in. And on the new programmer, when it arrives, this will have 40 pins closer together, and it will go into the new programmer. It's called a MiniPro. I've got one ordered with the adapters. I've ordered the slightly more expensive programmer because I can use it with the Pickaxe and Arduino 80 mega 328p systems, which I'm developing for my BGA rework station that you'll probably all remember from a few months ago. It has the ICSP header connection, so I can connect it straight to those devices. But yeah, that was a little. Actually, I think that one's about £60. The standard programmer that most of you guys would use is about 40, but I thought I'd get the more expensive one and cover all of the options. I really don't want to have to be buying a fourth programmer in 6 months' time. This new programmer from China handles around 12,000 plus chips. It looks like the software is updated regularly, and you can actually download the software and just give it have a look at it. The same with the GQ-4X programmer. The software and all the instructions, etc., are available on my website. It's www.eprom-programmers.co.uk. So you can download the software and run it in demo mode just to have a look and see what it will do. Most members would get away with this without any question. This particular one, with all the adapters and the leads and bits and pieces, is $162.99 as I recall. We've sold quite a few of these. They've been quite popular. I think a lot of the guys on the forum have been quite happy with it. But as I say, things keep moving on, unfortunately, and this one is not going to be updated, I don't think, to handle the new TSOP style EPROMs that we're going to be seeing more and more of. But who knows in the future how things will progress and what will change and what other equipment we need. This was made in Canada. Sadly, the new programmer is obviously made in China. But what can you do? We have to go with the cheapest. I don't think any of the guys are absolutely loaded, so we've got to get what we can get at the best price, otherwise we'll be unable to compete. So whilst I would have loved to have stuck with LLoyd Research, it can't do what we need it to do, and it is now way too expensive. So we tried, but it's not happening. When I first bought this, I bought a more expensive package, and it came with various PLCC adapters. The GQ-4X has a huge range of adapters. It's one of its best selling points. Some of them aren't cheap, but they're reasonably priced. Yeah, that's a PLC. What is it? PLC 32. Count these these pins. Right, it's a PLC 36. It must be 32, I think. I'm not counting them right. But there's that one, and there's a couple of others that came with it in the kit. Again, we haven't needed them, but I thought at the time might as well spend a small amount extra and have these, because you never know. Better to have them than not. But I do not include these in the kit because I think for most people the bump up in price, it would not be worth it, and yeah, the amount of use these are going to get, in fact I've never used them, would not be worth the extra cost of the programmer. The new programmer should be here in about 10 days or so from China. I'll do a test and full review. I think Zen has already got one of these. He's got it from another company in the UK who obviously might be importing it. I suspect it's probably the same one as the one I've ordered, or very similar, and we'll test it and see how it goes. But at that price, it's going to be 80, 90. The one I bought, I think the total price with all the bits and pieces was £100. Can't really go wrong at that price. As I say, I've downloaded the software already and had a look at that. Seems quite reasonable. Very similar to the GQ-4X software, and we'll see how it goes. Now, if any of you watched my video of 2 Sundays ago, where I had stupidly put my finger through the circular saw blade, there's an update on how it's healing. Unbelievably, it's the chunk that was missing has been filled in by skin, and it's, in fact, only a week after doing it, it was very much in this condition. And really all that's got to happen now is for the fingerprint to grow back at the end, which it's doing, and the nail to grow back. So I think I've had a fantastically lucky escape on that one. Yeah, so that's that. I just wanted to do something on Sunday. I mentioned on the forum that we've got a new project on the go. I'm hoping it will be of interest to a lot of the engineers, and there should be some announcement in October about that. Why doesn't this look like it's in focus anymore? Stupid cameras. Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, so yes, there's a new project on the go. I've been spending probably a week last week on that, and I'm slowly getting there. I'm also considering rethinking the firmware jig co-op. I had another member sign up for that today. Thank you, Andy1. And I'm thinking that we've got enough money in there now that we can probably close the membership and possibly rethink the option we considered a few months ago, where non-firmware jig co-op members can actually borrow the equipment for a small fee and postage each way. I think we might have to rethink that. Some of the members showed interest in borrowing some of the equipment we've got, so I think we'll reconsider that, see what the firmware jig members think, and maybe open it up to other members. I suspect they would probably have to pay a small deposit, security deposit, something like that, and then be able to borrow whatever they need as and when. So that's something else that's being thought of. Yeah, not much else going on really. Certainly not much work at the moment. Thanks to all of those who replied on the forum to the latest post about, well, it was really just a yearly report on how things had gone over the past year. We made a lot of changes last year, and a few months ago I decided to restrict access to certain sections, as you remember, and it's worked out okay. Thanks for everybody who has taken the time to respond. One member did mention the search feature again. There is a video on how to use the search feature, which is in that post. It's just a matter of using the wildcard asterisk when you're typing out a model number to search for. So have a look at the videos for that. So that's it really. Just wanted to do something on a cold and wet Sunday afternoon. So I'll get that uploaded now and speak to you all later.